Eagles. Talk about the Eagles. You like it.
You're an Eagles guy. Why don't you tell me what you thought about the Eagles' record-breaking A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts just chucking the fucking ball all over the
Kyle.
place like he's playing in my Madden franchise?
Kyle, I'm tired. Can we stop with the
Limping all
Can we
around?
stop with the Jalen Hurts is mid talk?
He's
okay?
not mid, but he's hurt.
He's hurt. He's obviously hurt. Okay. But I'll start this. Like, the Commanders are that team in division for them that every time you play them, it's just going to be a motherfucker.
Dogfight.
The sample size is big enough now that I just know when they play the Commanders, hold on to your ass if you're betting the Eagles or if you're pulling for the Eagles, because this game's going to be tight. They're like Big 12 games, whether it was Heineke in primetime last year or Howell earlier this year or now this game. But here's the interesting thing. And by the way, offensive line reshuffle for Washington. They actually played pretty well on the surface. Chris Paul went from center to guard. Chris Paul should be a guard. Okay?
100%. He has a brother, Cliff, that should be maybe the other guard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was a basketball joke for anybody listening.
State Farm.
Tyler Larson, it was
Pay us.
layers,
Pay
bro.
us.
Tyler Larson stepped up at center with Nick Gates out. But, like, here's the thing. I want to say this first. Eric Bieniemy, it's been this big mystery. Like, is he head coaching material? Like, what was his effect in Kansas City, the whole thing? I think he had an effect.
Yeah.
I think, like, we thought Washington a month in the season, we're like, oh, the screen game's really good. Like, this is a Bieniemy thing. He brought it from Kansas City. He might have also brought some wrinkles that he used to get after the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And then in week whatever it was, the first time they played the Commies. And then again. So, like, I don't want to understate Eric Bieniemy's effect on this offense. There is only one guy who's the common denominator between the three times the Eagles have gotten torched the most through the air in the past 6-7 months or whatever it is, if you include the Super Bowl. So I want to say that, like, give Eric Bieniemy his props. I want to give Sam Howell his props. He threw the ball all over the yard. But I will say this. If you're going to talk about the Eagles pass rush, and I'm a little sensitive to this because I am a pass rusher. People are like, oh, they didn't get home until Hassan Reddick got home on 4th and 5, really. By the way, Hassan Reddick.
Gotta have it. He's
By
gonna get
the
it.
way, Hassan Reddick, go chart it. Every time the Eagles need a big rush, he's the clutch guy. And I appreciate that so much because that's the kind of guy you need when you're trying to win championships. You need a guy who has that clutch gene, who knows when to make a play. And he can be your best guy, or he can be just a guy that steps up in big situations.
For the Steelers, it's T.J. Watt.
Yeah, for the Eagles, it's Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
And it happens to be, for those two teams, it's your best rusher. So I just think, I want to give him his props, but Howell. And I want
Number
you
two
guys,
fantasy quarterback.
I want you guys to listen closely to this. Kyle, I haven't set my lineup in weeks. Okay?
He is.
Sam Howell, the first time they played, 295 to throw. We talked a lot about he made a lot of heroic throws with guys draped on his back. I saw the touchdown with Milton Williams draped on his back, the whole thing. And people were talking about the Eagles hit him. They didn't get home. That's valid. When you got 3 seconds to throw the ball, that's different. His time to throw yesterday was 2.4. So more than a half second, he has expedited that process by. And that's not a winning formula for a defensive line. Now, the Eagles secondary is the 8th combination on the year. But to start the game, I thought especially, their EPA was down at the bottom defensively when it came to first down yesterday, early downs. Okay? But to start the game, this was what the Commanders did, their first 7 first downs, and not in order. Touchdown, first down, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 1, 2nd and 1, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 5. Those are the first 7 first downs. So that's a problem. And you talk about the quick game, you talk about the Washington run offense, you can get your run game going through the air. They got the ball out quick, and on third down, because of some of those distances, they were pretty good. And that's a team that's 31st in the NFL coming in on third down. So Howell played great. The Blankenship pick was the one play. It's like a Big 12 type of game where all it took was one stop, and you knew the whole thing would change from there. And the Blankenship pick was that. So big for them. We'll build from here.
I mean, how great and underrated is A.J. Brown?
Dude,
well, you ask people who the best receivers are.
They barely mention him in the top 3 to 4. Like, even when you ask other receivers, I don't know what it is, if they're just jealous of his, like, physical prowess, and they kind of look at it like, well, he's not a route runner. Or like,
yeah.
he's not this Jerry Rice guy. But what he is a fucking problem. That one-handed catch in the end zone.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just bully ball with him.
He reminds me of young Julio Jones, and how great was it to see Julio
catch a
Jones?
touchdown.
Like, I
How
saw your boy
excited.
Lane.
Yeah.
Lane looked so
Everybody
happy.
was so excited for Julio Jones
He
when
was
he caught that
cheesing,
touchdown.
man. And good for him. You know, I'd like to see him get a ring.
What a goat he was.
I am a little worried about the Jalen Carter back injury. He's a big piece for them. On
Man.
He's a
defense.
big piece for my wallet if he's out for an extended period of time. What's
Defensive
the deal
rookie
with
of the
that?
year,
He was injured before the game started, and then was obviously ineffective in the first half, and then
What
they took him out in the third.
What do the odds look like right now? Can you look
He
that
was
up?
the favorite going into the weekend at -120 because I have the same bet.
And what? Okay, now
I
Has
don't
it
know.
changed?
Hasn't
Okay, I hope
updated.
not. But I will say this again: when we're praising Jalen Hurts, don't forget this part. Whenever the Eagles have needed a big drive to win a game, to ice a game, he's gotten it. And that one came 75 yards, 7 minutes to open the fourth. In a situation where you had to have it. I love Jalen Hurts. He's not the best quarterback in the league, but he is one of them. And he's one of the toughest because he is hobbled. The bad from this game, I want to see the run game get going. Nate's going to look at Nate's costume. He's crossing behind him. The bad from this game, I want to see the run game get going. They didn't really commit to it. They had the 2 low red turnovers, Gainwell fumble and the tush push fumble.
Ooh.
You got to fix that. But more than anything, I think Philly fans will agree with me when I say we need to be better at the halfback position in the red zone. So whether it's they don't like Swift in the red zone or Gainwell gives them something, at this point it's run its course. Howie's not done. Now, I think he goes and gets a slot guy, but does he go get like a Dalvin Cook, a guy who's rotting in New York and probably would be the appropriately priced guy to go grab at the deadline for the red zone and for these short yardage situations? We got a brotherly sweep in the red zone. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was really a cool play.
But do not forget that they added Jay Ajayi our Super Bowl year at the deadline. Howie looks back at stuff like that and says, I got to do the same thing. Maybe they'll add another back.
Do you think that sweep had anything to do with Jalen's injury? Like if he couldn't push off
That's
his leg?
interesting, yeah.
And they like knew they could get it, but they wanted to add
Yeah.
this. They knew, throw the
It's just
piece in.
amazing. I watched last night and Bajent trying to do the tush push. It's just like a whole different animal. It's like
got it.
anytime I watch.
People have to realize, like, that whole being able to squat 500-600 pounds.
It's real.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's like pushing the sled.
What's his payload? What's Jalen Hurts?
Dodge Ram
Yeah,
1500.
yeah. Exactly. They should do an Eagles offensive line commercial for like Dodge Ram.
They're just like
I
on a
haven't-
mountaintop, and
Yeah.
it's like the 4 of them, 5 of them just
There
running
you go,
along.
Reed.
Yeah. You don't need the Eagles O line to have a payload like this.
Get yourself
right.
a Dodge
Yeah,
Ram.
exactly.